We are taught to admire the leap, the dramatic decision, the bold move, the moment someone changes everything overnight. It makes a good story, and stories quietly shape what we think success is supposed to look like. So we wait for our own version of it, the right moment, the clean break, the single decisive action that will finally move everything at once. And while we wait, we do nothing, because nothing we could do today feels big enough to matter. This is the hidden cost of admiring the leap. It makes the small step look pointless, but almost everything worth building is built the opposite way, not in one leap, but in a long series of steps so small that, on their own, each one looks as though it barely counts. The leap is seductive for one reason. It promises to compress time. It offers a way to skip the slow, unglamorous middle and arrive at the result without the wait. And we want that badly because the middle is where most of the discomfort lives. But the promise rarely pays out. The big leap, by its nature, depends on conditions lining up, the right opportunity, the right resources, the right courage on the right day. Those conditions arise far less often than we hope. We end up waiting indefinitely for a moment that never quite comes. And there is a subtle trap, because the leap is so large, it carries enormous stakes, and high stakes do not produce action, they produce paralysis. The bigger the move you are contemplating, the more there is to lose, and the easier it becomes to put it off one more day. The very size that makes the leap appealing is the same size that keeps you standing still. So here is the shift. Stop asking, what is the big move that will change everything? And start asking, what is the smallest step I can take today, regardless of conditions? That second question has a quiet power the first one lacks. It can always be answered. There is always a small step available, no matter the circumstances, no matter the resources, no matter the mood. And a small step taken today beats a big leap postponed indefinitely. Every single time, because the small step actually happens and the leap usually does not. This is not about lowering your ambition. The destination can be as large as you like. It is about lowering the size of the next action until it is small enough that nothing can stop you taking it. Big vision, small steps. That combination quietly outperforms almost everything else. The first advantage of the small steps is availability. A big leap requires conditions. It needs the right timing, the right opening, the right alignment of things outside your control. So it can only happen occasionally, if at all. A small step requires almost nothing. You can take one today in the circumstances you actually have, with the resources actually in front of you. This matters far more than it sounds, because the single biggest predictor of progress is not the size of your action, but the frequency of them. Someone taking a tiny step every day is moving constantly. Someone waiting for the conditions to attempt something large is, most of the time, not moving at all. Over a year, the person who could act in any condition leaves the person who needed perfect conditions far behind, not because they were bolder, but because they were always able to begin. The second advantage is psychological. Small steps keeps the stakes low, and low stakes are what keeps you in the game. When the next action is small, there is very little to fear and very little to lose, so you simply do it. When the next action is enormous, every part of you resists, because the cost of getting it wrong feels unbearable. This is why so many capable people freeze in front of big decisions and never start at all, not from laziness, but from the entirely reasonable instinct to avoid a large, irreversible risk. The small step dissolves that resistance. It is too small to be frightening, and because it is too small to be frightening, it actually gets done. A step that gets done, however small, beats a leap that never gets attempted, however bold. The third advantage is the one that compounds over time. Small steps gives you feedback, and feedback lets you correct course. Every small step tells you something. What worked, what did not, what to do differently next. You adjust, take the next step, a little wiser, and adjust again. Over many steps that turn into something close to navigation. You are not just moving, you are steering. The big leap offers none of this. It is a single all of nothing bad place before you have learned anything, with no chance to adjust once you are committed. If your assumptions were wrong and early on, they usually are, the leap simply lands you somewhere wrong fast. Small steps let you be wrong cheaply and often, which is exactly how anyone gets things right eventually. The leap asks you to be right once. The steps let you become right gradually. And this is the part the stories leave out. The big leaps we admire in other people were almost never leaps at all. They were a long stack of small, invisible steps that we simply did not see. Years of quiet, unremarkable effort compressed in the rattling into a single dramatic moment. What looks like an overnight change is small steps in time lapse. So, when you find yourself waiting for your own leap, remember that the people you are comparing yourself to did not leap either. They stepped repeatedly while no one was watching, until the accumulation became visible enough to look sudden. You are not behind because you have not leapt. You are behind only if you have not seen stepping. And the next small step is, as always, available right now. So forget the leap. It makes a fine story and a poor strategy. Choose instead the step small enough that you cannot talk yourself out of it. Take it today and take another one tomorrow. Done often enough that is indistinguishable from the dramatic transformation everyone else is still waiting for. If you want a calm, practical first step to take today, there is a free resource in the description below. Start there. Nobody remembers the small steps. They only ever see where the small steps led.